Hello, I'm Josh from Ting Tai Chi, and today we're going to be talking about making your own padded weapon. For only a couple bucks, you can make one of the most useful training tools that you can add to your arsenal in a matter of an afternoon. So this video is only going to be cover how to make your own padded stick. You're going to use this method to make your own padded staff, cane, even a tomahawk as I've made here. I don't want this just to be like how to make your own padded stick video. I'm going to cover a couple of different ways in which I've heard other people make padded weapons. I'm going to give you some pros and cons, but I'm going to use the stick as a baseline weapon. Basically, to get started, you're going to want a 1/2-inch PVC Schedule 40 pipe, and I recommend getting a cap. If possible, I would get an internal cap, one that will fit inside the PVC pipe. If you don't have one, you can use one that fits on the outside, as I have here. Once you get that PVC pipe, cut it to your size that you want it. Now, I think this one's about 28 inches, but somewhere between 24 to 28 will be just fine. If you get too long, even if you use an interior core, you'll get this slight vibration and wonkiness that you don't want in your weapon. Now, my preferred method is to take your PVC pipe and fill it with expanding foam. And once that's filled with the expanding foam, you're going to clean off the edges, cut off the excess, and then cap it with PVC pipe primer and cement. Once that's done, you're going to use your 1/2-inch PVC pipe insulator. And I have a couple kinds here. I somewhat prefer this black one. It's a little bit softer, but also denser. I think it feels like it has more of a cushion to it. But this is cheaper by far than this. You can get a package of this foam version as opposed to whatever this is for just one of these. So some people talk about sanding the top of your PVC pipe before putting the pad and insulation in, and that's because they don't want the stick to puncture through and cut through the tape. So if you're thrusting and you hit somebody, they don't want that PVC pipe to slide through. Well, I'm going to tell you two different ways in which to fix that. You'll take a piece of tape and you'll fold it over crosswise like this. And now it's not going to be hard enough to go through the tape that you're going to put on the top of it. Okay? Once you put your cushion on though, you're going to leave, whether you use tape or you use a cap, you're going to leave a 1/2 inch from the top. And that 1/2 inch is going to be so that way you can use a piece of foam cut from the bottom to wedge in the middle. And now you have a solid pad, 1/2 inch of pad at the top of your stick, and it's not going to go through that padding or the stick if you thrust somebody. So there's no worry about that coming out. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to fit this over, and again you're going to cut about a 1/2 inch away from the top of the pipe, so that way you can put your padding in there, and then you're going to squeeze it over the cap there. That way it will fit over that cap and not stick out. You're gonna take your scrap piece of pipe, you're gonna fit it in there, take a piece of duct tape, tear it in half, and I'm going to go across this way. Across this way. And I'm going to go over that seam to help keep that seam together as well. Have it do double duty there. And it looks like it didn't cover enough, but I'm gonna take that duct tape, tear it in half. Okay. And then last one. And now I'm going to make what the Kali Eskrima people call the puño. Again, leaving about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch there at the end. So the next hardest part in making your stick is ensuring that the padding stays attached to the pipe like you want it. And you gotta, this is where it starts becoming a little bit more aesthetic. It's going to be up to what you want a lot. But my recommendation is to get a piece of tape and wrap it around where the staff meets, the padding meets the PVC pipe, and then cut slits into the tape so that way you can fold the tape down in sections over each other, overlapping, to make them lie a little bit flatter and a little bit nicer looking as well. And so once you get done, it looks a little bit more like this. And what this allows it to do is it allows it to stay attached to the stick, but also lay a little bit flatter. So that way when you wrap your tape around there, or wrap your tape around and spray this Flex Seal rubber coating onto it like I have here, you'll be able to have a smoother handle. So once you're done making your padded stick, taping this up, I would recommend taping in a circular fashion. And the reason why is if you are going at it and you're grabbing other people's sticks, if you tape it as other people recommend, tape the whole thing from one side to the other. And even if you're using this method and you're going from here and then you would tape the handle in a spiral fashion, I just don't recommend it because you can feel that where that tape is, and sometimes you can actually peel some of it off a little bit depending on how hard you're going. So I just wouldn't recommend going from top to bottom. It's easier to get a nicer looking stick because, as you can see, if you do a too tight a circle, it'll wrinkle. But I feel that this is more conducive to being able to grab a weapon and such. So now that we've talked about how to make your stick, let's expand that methodology to other types of weapons and see what I might want to change or adjust, and some of the ways in which other people have made padded weapons in the past. So another way in which people have made padded weapons is that they'll take the whole stick and pad the entire thing. They'll use this, or they use this insulation, and they'll just pad the entire thing. Now, I wouldn't mind this if this was a longer weapon. So, like for the cane, I'm going to use that method on here because, one, I'm going to use I need to use the entire surface as a striking area. So whether this would not fit my hand as well as this would doesn't matter because I need that padding there to ensure the safety of myself and my partners. But for a stick, you don't need the whole thing padded. And if you're using younger audiences, or people with smaller hands, they're not going to be able to hold on to this. They're going to keep dropping it when somebody strikes, or with very little effort, it's not going to be conducive to their training. So what I recommend is making this handhold for those reasons. You still have your puño here, but you have a middle place to hold a more naturally sized stick. If you do like Kali, Eskrima, or Arnis, or something like that, your stick is about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch diameter anyway. So what you want is you want something that size. And having the padded stick go all the way around, it's fine for me, but I wouldn't use it unless I'm doing a longer weapon, like I am with the cane or the staff. So preference is leave yourself a handhold. Next, another thing that people have done in the past, and I think one of the earlier professional made weapons, padded sticks, was to use a wooden dowel. Now so they would use a small, this is rattan stick, and what they would do is they take a smaller piece of rattan and stick it inside a pipe like this, like a hard shell, and then wrap it in some kind of padding like this. And my understanding is that ceased as a practice because going at it pretty hard, I guess there's been reports of a couple broken knuckles and bones. So I would recommend, if you're just doing a padded stick, if you want to practice someone attacking you with a club or with an improvised weapon that's a rod, a pipe, something like that, I would recommend simply going for the just a regular PVC pipe. And if you're gonna fill it with anything, I'd recommend just filling it with that expanding foam to give it a little bit more durability and less flexibility. But other than that, I wouldn't do it. Now, I am going to experiment with the cane, because without the cane, this starts getting a little, I think this is 32 inches, I can't remember. So this is about as long as you're going to want to have a stick. It's almost like a short cane, and it vibrates at the tip when you strike. And that's not good if you're going to be having a cane and you're going to come in here and pulling on people. So I'm going to actually use the wooden dowel, and I'm going to leave a little bit of this dowel out exposed, because when I put the cap on, as I did on the ends here, I want it to be flush with the top of that cap. That way the stick won't move inside. And this is probably one of the only reasons I would want to put a wooden dowel inside a weapon. I am going to try with my staff here. I got a 3/4 inch PVC pipe, and I put 3/4 inch dowel inside that pipe. And so the issue is with these staves, they're too flexible. It doesn't matter what schedule that you get, it's extremely flexible. This is the thinner walled one, and you can see that even with, I just filled this with the expandable foam, and it's pretty flexible. And part of that is because I didn't realize that when I got that pipe that I got the thin-walled PVC pipe, and you don't want the thin-walled, you want the thick-walled, especially if you're gonna go for a staff. But using that methodology, not only did I make a cane, but I also made a tomahawk. And basically I just took the tomahawk and I made, using some T-brackets, I made a little hooking end. A little butt end, striking end here. And it's great. Okay, so hopefully now you have enough information to make the weapon of your choice in the means that you like. Let me know how you go, what you make. I'd like to see what your results are. So before we go, let's talk about why you'd want to use padded weapons for Tai Chi practice. And my number one go-to answer for that is padded weapons are crucial, in fact, because you need to be able to gradually increase the resistance that you get when you execute your techniques. So in other words, you need to be able to get to a point where you execute your techniques at speed or close thereto and have a strong possibility to fail. And that's going to do two things. It's going to gradually reduce your anxiety of physical confrontation and failing. And that's important because you need to be able to maintain and learn how to use the Tai Chi practices to regulate your nervousness and your excitement, the adrenaline dump that comes with physical confrontation. And also, using this will actually make you honest, keep you honest. So if I strike you and you try to do, one of your ward-off techniques and it doesn't work, well, you're not quite hurt. I mean, you feel it, right? But you're not hurt. So in other words, they can really strike you and you can really try to make sure you can execute the technique. And so it's crucial. I mean, do some push hands, get some good sensitivity drills going, and then put weapons in hands and see. Now my last parting comment is, if you buy like a 10-foot PVC pipe for about, let's just say $1.50, $2, you're gonna have some left over. And now, my recommendation is you'll have enough left over to make a small, I don't know where that pipe went. You'll be able to make a small knife. But my recommendation actually is when it comes to knives, actually get a wooden or a metal knife. Don't use a padded weapon for that. Unless you're using small ones like younger kids, teens, preteens, teens, because the knife needs to have that awareness and sensitivity to it. Part of the reason why a knife generates such good sensitivity training is because you are consciously thinking of a bladed weapon coming at you, and that metal dinging on the top of your hands hurts. So it's good training, and I don't think you need a padded weapon, a padded knife to make that work. The only time I would think you would want a padded weapon is if you're not going to be using eye goggles, which I would recommend you would, or a face mask. Something along those lines, which I would highly recommend if you're going to be going with any serious amount of intensity with the padded weapons. And then maybe if you're to go at speed, full force type of thing. Okay, so I hope that's enough information for you to get started on making your own weapons. If you experiment around, let me know how it goes. I'm excited to hear what you guys make with these, and I will see you next time.